Gunn's new Superman movie is ass. I'm just playing, y'all. I wanted to just get y'all attention, get y'all on with that quick hook. But I'm gonna be real. This movie was mid, and I have a lot of reasons and perspectives as to why this movie kind of felt short for me. Obviously, Superman is the topic of today's video, as you guys seen in the thumbnail. I recently saw it this past Friday, and I was underwhelmed. Right? I'm a huge fan of Superman. I've loved Superman as a kid my whole childhood. Like, he's always been my favorite superhero. The idea of Superman has always very much intrigued me, right? So when I seen that James Gunn specifically was going to be involved with this project, right? I know he's had success with Marvel and, a bunch of Marvel movies and things of that nature with the Guardians of the Galaxy and that whole realm. I was like, okay, he's coming to the DC universe. He can fix this shit because, Zack Snyder ruined everything, fucked everything up, right? So I had high expectations. I saw the trailer. The trailer looked really good. And then when you see the movie, you're just kind of like, you're kind of here with reality. And the main thing for me is the main character who plays Superman, played by David Cornsweet, I believe. He was okay. I didn't really feel like he was the right person for this role. And I kind of felt like that for a lot of characters in this movie. I felt like casting was the thing that hurt this movie the most, right? We know that Henry Cavill was kicked out, kind of recasted, and they chose this guy. And I'm sure they took a long time searching for who they wanted to play Superman. And this movie just didn't hit for me. And when you have a movie such as Superman, which is surrounded around Superman, I feel like whoever is playing that character has to be phenomenal. He has to nail it. And I just didn't feel like he had the charisma for this role. I didn't really feel like he had the Superman energy. And then you kind of flip the script and you see his portrayal of Clark Kent, and he just felt very nerdy, very goofy. He didn't really, and I know that Clark Kent historically is a kind of a nerdy, goofy guy, but I just still felt like he didn't have that charisma that I would feel from Superman / Clark Kent. Also, the Lois Lane character, she could have looked better. They could have got someone who's more physically attractive. Lois Lane is supposed to be a baddie. She's supposed to be like really in Superman's corner, really out here doing shit. And she wasn't really doing much in this movie, to be honest, like, other than kind of her running to kind of push Mr. Perfect to come save Superman. She didn't really do much. She didn't really do anything. She was kind of just there. Mr. Terrific. Also him. Mr. Terrific and Lex Luthor were the best aspects of this movie. They were the only good parts of this movie. Like, Mr. Terrific was great. He had some great one-liners. He was really funny. And I liked him kind of being on Superman's side. He was one of the few people that actually believed him when the whole video came out that Lex Luthor exposed with his parents and everything, telling them that he should destroy Earth. All that stuff, right? I thought he was great. Now, moving on to Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult was phenomenal. He nailed this role. He was perfect. He's what kept me intrigued in this movie the majority of the time. Like, he carried this movie. I seen why he got paid, what was it, like $2 million to play this role. I think he was the highest paid in this movie. I think the main character who played Superman got paid like $750K. He's a newer guy, I guess. I didn't really know any of these people outside of Mr. Terrific and Nicholas Hoult, who played Lex Luthor. The majority of this cast was a bunch of people that I believe to be unknown people that I've never really seen like that. Now, that's kind of why I feel like this movie just didn't work for me, because of the casting. But Lex Luthor, man, he was phenomenal. He really embodied this role. He just made the movie so much more interesting. He was funny too, and you could tell that he was locked in. You could tell he was really focused on delivering this role. And I just feel like Superman was getting whooped the whole movie. Like, he didn't really have that historic moment or heroic moment where you're like, oh yeah, Superman, where you want to get up and like cheer for him. He was just taking an L. And I kind of realized later towards the movie that they're kind of doing things a little different. If you kind of peep, the movie started with him being in battle. Like, the movie started with him already being in a fight. He's already on Earth, like he's already acclimated. It seems like he already been Superman for a certain amount of time. I feel like they should have given us more like backstory on his Superman character, like how he got to that point. You know what I mean? Like, there should have been like some elevation and some like storytelling instead of just jumping into like him being in a battle. When you start the movie, he literally has just lost his first fight or whatever, and then he gets healed and then he jumps back into the fight. So I definitely would have liked if they had brought the character along slower and kind of gave us that maturation process of him turning into Superman, him learning how to fly, him doing all of that stuff. It seems like they just kind of wanted to jump right in, and they're going to start introducing characters into the universe, right? Also, I feel like this movie just had too many characters. There's too many people in this fucking movie. You didn't need that many characters. You know what I mean? Outside of the main characters and the villain, you didn't really need that many other people outside of, like, obviously side characters and stuff like that. I feel like there was just so many characters in this movie, and it kind of took a lot of attention away from Superman. Like, it didn't really feel like a Superman heavily focused movie. It didn't really feel like it was focused on Superman's character development, Superman's history. They talk about his parents and his family a little bit, but they didn't really give us too much insight onto that. So overall, I give it like a 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the kind of movie that I would go watch again. Like, I wouldn't rewatch it. It was just like cool for that first viewing. But outside of that, I don't think I would watch that movie again. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I will watch it again and I'll feel a little bit different about it. But for that first viewing, it just didn't move me. I didn't feel it in my heart. And as someone who loves superheroes, who loves Superman, like, I used to have the action figures and all of that stuff, I just was kind of disappointed with what they gave us. Granted, it's their first little project with Superman. You can't give them too much flack. This is James Gunn's kind of first inkling into the DC universe, so I can't put too much pressure on him. But I mean, with the amount of budgeting and money they had, I think this movie was like a $220 million budget, something like that, bro. You could have got better actors. You could have got better people. I feel like they spent less money on the actors after looking at the salaries and more money into the production. But I feel like had they flipped the script and spent more money and resources trying to get better actors and better performers to play these roles, it would have been better off in the long run. And like some of the special effects too, you could just tell look like AI and CGI generated. There was that one scene where he had the lasers and he was just like kind of washing everybody. Even some scenes where he was flying and then you could kind of see his face. It just looked AI-ish. It didn't really feel like fluid in terms of the special effects. And I didn't really feel like there was that much action in this movie. Like, there really wasn't a ton of action in this movie. I feel like it was a lot of dialogue. And I feel like the dialogue that we did get in this movie, outside of like Lex Luthor scenes and Superman and Lex Luthor scenes, I didn't really feel like there was any meaningful dialogue in this movie outside of Superman and Lex Luthor having their interactions. And I feel like when you have a movie like this, which is a superhero movie, the dialogue is super important. The last thing I'll say, the fucking dog. Like, the dog, bro. That shit was not needed. The dog was in the movie way too much. The dog did too much. I found it kind of corny how they used the dog. I didn't really like it like that. The dog pulling up and saving him. And I understand what they were going for, but I feel like the dog played a bigger role than it needed to. Outside of that, it was an alright movie. I am looking forward to Fantastic Four First Steps. That's probably going to be the next movie that I do a review on. I believe it's coming out next week, so I'm very excited for that. And that should lead into them being in the Avengers. I forgot what the Avengers movie is that they're working on right now. Not Secret Wars. But someone in the comments will probably tell me Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. yes, Avengers Doomsday. So I think that movie's going to lead in to Avengers Doomsday. And just looking at the trailer, just like Superman, it looks really good. So I have high expectations, but you never know with Marvel. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.